So that's it. That's all the stuff we really had to cover. I hope we didn't leave anything out. And wouldn't you know, we have some questions. Some people have submitted some questions. We're lying. We thought of some questions to ask you. So or ask each other. Actually,
I wasn't lying.
What? You weren't lying?
Oh.
We have some email questions. Well,
Yeah.
Oscar gave us some questions too.
He did?
Yeah, he did. Didn't he?
Yes.
Don't lie.
Alright, I'm lying. Go ahead.
No, he did.
Oh, he did?
Okay. All right. So, okay, we're going to start from where we began. We're going to talk about the draft. Big John, again, #1 fantasy pick. So, he's earned the right to the #1 fantasy pick this year in the draft. So, I'm going to ask you guys, who is John taking, or who should he be taking? CJ.
Well, I think who he should be taking, someone that I don't think I could ever pass as the #1 pick, is Albert Pujols. He's always proven his worth, although I know people will probably try to prove me wrong with his new ballpark and how he's not going to be hitting as many home runs there, which I really don't care to take a look into as of right now. But I think he should be taking Albert Pujols. Who is he going to take? I'm not very sure, but I think he might take Matt Kemp in this situation. What do you think, Dan?
Well, that's a good call. That I think he should, in fact, take Matt Kemp. I think, as proven with other sports and baseball down the line, change isn't always good, and consistency is usually money in the bank. And Matt Kemp has very little different around him other than his great stats from last year, and he's only getting better. He's not even in his prime yet. And you've got Pujols on a new team. You've got Braun without his protection and Prince Fielder. And, you have Miguel Cabrera at third base with the new protection and Prince Fielder. But Matt Kemp was pretty much the MVP last year, and I think he's money in the bank this year as the #1 pick. But I do think John is probably going to go with Jose Reyes. I think Jose has really pulled through for John in past years, and he's got Ozzie as the coach over there. He's got Hanley behind him, and he could steal 900 bases this year for John's team.
You know what? He very well could. On the subject of stealing, what happened to Hanley? I don't know what happened to Hanley. I thought he was my guy for so many years, and now we're not even discussing him. It's not a name that I've heard so far. I myself would have to say, I don't know if I can get away from Miggy or Miguel Cabrera. Let's not call him Miggy or McGee.
Sounds like Mickey.
Mickey Mouse will be the #1 pick.
I don't know if I can ignore him. I think John will ignore him. That means I'll be grabbing him at #2. And thank you, and you're welcome, everybody else. Who will he take? I don't know. Is Josh Fields still in the league? Because if he is, he might go #1.
The pitcher or the hitter? Oh, wait.
Same
Never
guy.
mind. Yeah.
He might be working the stands at Comiskey Park.
John, he
now.
could be working with you right now, wherever you are.
All right, no, good guy. I actually don't know what Josh Fields.
Josh Fields?
Yeah, I don't know.
I doubt he's in baseball anymore.
He's still in baseball.
But if he was, John Sexton will be drafting him.
Okay, well, we'll be looking for that Josh Fields update, John.
That's why we give you an extra bench spot, John. Right
Boom,
there.
Josh Fields.
It's free.
All right. So we talked hitters, obviously, because when we're talking #1 pick, we usually don't talk pitchers. I can't remember I've only been doing this a few years. We've never done pitchers this high.
Johan Santana.
#1
pick.
When?
From me.
Oh,
the year
God.
he decided to suck.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
Good job on that.
Dan
No problem.
excluded. But let's talk pitchers. Okay, so let's say you're in the draft. I'm not really going to say where, second round, third round, I don't know. But let's say you feel like you're ready to take the #1 pick. The first pitcher off the board. Who you taking?
Well, I'm no fantasy expert per se on pitchers, but I did have the #1 and #2 fantasy pitcher on my team last year, which was Justin Verlander, obviously, and Clayton Kershaw, who I've actually been drafting for years and years now, and he decided to keep on getting better, so that was great. But at the #1 pick, I probably still have to take Justin Verlander. He's still very young. He just won the Triple Crown in the pitching categories this year, and he was the MVP. So he definitely had probably the best year a pitcher's had in quite a while, but just the inning that he logs, the wins, his team is very stacked, so he's going to get a lot of wins in that category. And the fact that Clayton Kershaw, on the Dodgers, He still might not get as many wins as a Verlander would, but trust me, he's improving every year. You better watch out for him too.
Well, once again, going with the theme of change around here, the top pitchers in baseball seem to change every single year, with the exception of a few guys. And I kind of think everyone's kind of forgotten about the guy who was the best pitcher for a couple years, Tim Lincecum. And I think this is the year where Lincecum, again, just has another solid year, wins the Cy Young, and is one of, if not the best pitcher in baseball. And, you know, the Giants don't have the best offense in the world, but they got a decent park. They're in a, you know, the division's not exactly stacked against them. So I think Lincecum could have another great year. And at the end of the day, guys like Roy Halladay, they're getting older. Just saying. Logging a lot of innings. Clayton Kershaw and Verlander. Kershaw has never pitched as many innings as he did last year. I think this is Lincecum's return to the throne.
Hey, what division does Kershaw play in? Oh, the same division as Lincecum. Oh, I forgot about that. Okay.
Yes.
All right, just wanted to make sure.
Well, you know what? I'm
Too bad your pick was Verlander, not Kershaw. Yeah.
I still trust Verlander, but I'm telling you, anyone sleeps on Kershaw, I'll gladly take him back on my team.
Good names. I'm not sure you can go wrong with one of those two. I'm glad you brought up Halladay. I thought we were going to get through this whole conversation without talking about Halladay. Okay, so you don't want me to take him. I've never had him. I always want him. But this is a bad question for me because I've never taken a pitcher that high. I don't think I've ever had a top pitcher. I don't think I've ever had a pitcher drafted within the first 4, maybe 5 rounds. I think my ace last year was Tommy Hanson. I get by. So I don't know. Let's go. Whatever Dan didn't say is what I'll say. So Halladay, he says no. I'm not going to grab Dan Herron. I'll leave that for you, big guy. So we'll just leave it at that. Okay. Last year we had some fantasy studs, perennial fantasy studs, who broke some of our hearts with some terrible, terrible performances. Too many to name. But let's just say, who is someone you think had a bad 2011, who you think might deliver big this year?
Well, definitely the name that you mentioned earlier. I think Hanley Ramirez will come back to what he's always done since he's been in the league, and he'll put up his 300-plus average. You know, probably hit anywhere between 20 to 30-plus home runs. He's going to get his 100 ribbies, 100 runs, you would hope so, and hopefully steal some bases now that Isaac Guillen is now the coach or the manager of the Marlins. The Sox are one of the most aggressive base stealing teams in baseball last year, and you have to think that with the couple additions like Jose Reyes, that they're going to be able to steal a lot more bases, and Hanley should be right back up there.
Bonifacio.
And Bonifacio. He's there too.
Bonafide.
Or Bonifacio.
Some of that too.
I agree with the Hanley. I think he was great. He was a high pick, and he kind of fell off. But I'm going to have to go with someone who fell off even more, and I'm pretty sure someone will have something to say about this from the stands. But Carl Crawford was...
Hey, the cheap seats over there.
Hey, keep it down over there. People who draft Carl Crawford, that might be Oscar. So basically, Carl Crawford was drafted extremely high last year, and he was super consistent every year. He went to Boston, he got a huge contract. You think he's going to light up the world, and he sucked. And players can fall off the face of the world every year. It happens, but I think Crawford is too good, and he went from being Matt Kemp Jr. to a retired Ken Griffey Jr. Looks heavy. Carl Crawford, I think, is great, primed for a comeback. He'll get in there. Ellsbury's right there with him. And those two at the top of the lineup he has no excuse to suck. And I just can't see him not returning to at least top 20, maybe not top 10, but some sort of elite level for sure.
I think you guys are both right again. I like your guys' analysis and spin on these things. I myself should probably take some of these risks as well. It's just with these high performance players, what I'm hearing is high draft picks. And so I think there's so many baseball players that are so good in those early picks that I tend to take my risks later. So I'm going to be the guy who's looking for like an Adam Dunn later in the draft to perform higher like he's supposed to. And you know, I know he's always going to suck at batting average, but how many homers did he have last year? Okay? You don't hit 40 for like 10 years in a row and then forget how, unless he's done.
Oh, your name's Andrew Jones.
Oh.
Yeah.
True.
Okay.
He hits 50 and then...
But it's
gets
Adam
around.
Dunn. Okay, that's America right there.
It's America.
It's Adam Dunn.
Corn-fed.
Corn-fed.
I think he's
I
in the
know.
boxes of some ice cream sandwiches
Ice
too.
cream sandwiches.
Come on now. That's as American as you
So
can get.
I'm just gonna go Adam Dunn. Adam Dunn. So.